and welcome to Beyond the Pendulum. This is episode 58, and my kid is screaming his head off. Hold on. I am not on Twitter, so I gotta log in and do this live. Sorry, I've been taking another Twitter hiatus again, where I'll get into that as well. I just don't feel like the is really benefiting my life in any way, shape, or form. Being on oh my God, my kid's having a
Social media.
yeah. I feel like
Well,
I don't know what.
I haven't logged in a while. I haven't logged in a while in a Facebook and a number of them. I've been too busy, man. Just can't do all that anymore.
It's not even
Takes too
that. It's
much
like
time.
I feel like I'm doom scrolling and I'm wasting my life. You know, I'm worrying about shit that doesn't
Uh,
even matter. You know,
Twitter's a
yeah,
dumpster fire, anyways.
it's not even that. It's like I don't really care about politics. I mean, hell of a lot, unless it really, unless it's something that's going to affect my daily life. I don't, since I've been doing the gateway process, I don't really cry over spilt milk as much. So unless it affects my paycheck or my job or whatever, it's not really bothering me. And then you get into a UFO Twitter, which I want to get into. A lot of the good postings and the good information doesn't ever come out on Twitter. It comes out in these 4chan and Reddit or some random fucking site. So, and I'm not the only one that's been feeling that way. There was quite a few people in the UFO world that are kind of pulling away from UFO Twitter, mainly due to the revolving around disclosure and ufology. And most of us are ufologists rather than disclosure, because when you really get down to the nitty gritty about disclosure, disclosure already happened. It's already happened in the paperwork and the release of the FOIA files and the old CIA stuff, um, and the various stuff from the Air Force that we've seen over the years. Disclosure's already happened, but it's going to take humanity at least, they think, 2 generations to understand that they're not alone and that there's other things here. There are I could spend an hour talking about what I know or what I believe to be true. And people, it's just like if you saw if an actual fucking grave was walking down the street, somebody in LA would say, that's a cute kid in a costume. You know, um, a complete denial that anything is even going on. It doesn't really. I'm starting to lean towards the same way. I give up on the leaning into the government trying to tell me what's true or not. When I see these things all the time. I live in a hotspot, uh, notorious hotspot actually.
so you're saying they're like treating disclosure and the UFO disclosure is like a subset of the UFO,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole experience. I mean, that's a so. I mean, how could you be just for disclosure and against the rest of it? I don't get that.
yeah. Well, no, I'm
Or not
not for.
for
I'm
it.
not for. It's not that I'm not for disclosure. I'm just not. I'm just not on that gravy train. It's just like it's all politics and bureaucracy when I'm really just interested in the what's out there. Like
Yeah.
I could give a shit less what these politicians are going to say. It's probably not going to happen in my lifetime anyway. So, we already know what's out there. There's already a ton of people leaking shit all the time. Um, in the last 5 years, we've had quite a few mega dumps, either from the aliens. We even had like Jake Barber with the psionics. We've had a lot of stuff come on our plates in the last few years, and I would say I know more now than I did 20 years ago. Uh, but it's just that I'm just not on the whole disclosure gravy train. It's just like I just could care. It's not that I don't care about it. It's just like it's not. It's
Well,
like
no,
why?
I was questioning, that that was really two camps. Like, it's like disclosure or something else when
Uh,
it seems like they're together. One's a subset of the other. I mean, I just don't. Didn't seem
uh,
like there'd be any problem with that.
there is, I guess, with them. It's just
Uh,
that I'm just I've always been more focused on like what's out there than what the politicians are saying. I mean, I'm still gonna cover
oh
it, but
yeah,
it's just that it's just like you're gonna be disappointed more than you are with people that are out there in the field gathering data, you know?
yeah. I mean, you're not going to be very busy either because I mean they drip it out so slow.
Yeah,
Whereas if you were like going after UFO experiences, well, fuck, you'd be pretty busy because I mean, take your pick.
yeah. Especially about what I went over in the last few episodes of the last episode where we kind of got a big dump from a supposed whistleblower um, on 4chan a few years ago, and the other one that preceded that, which was on Reddit. And you kind of put those two together, and you kind of got the whole UFO. Got a better understanding of what we're looking at. Uh, does line up with like Bob Lazar and some other shit that we've heard over the years. And um, one thing in the disclosure world that is happening right now is that 2 years down the road, now David Grush is able to get a skiff and is working with Congress on that task force to get classified information from the legacy programs or whatever the hell they're looking at. And I give them, like I said, I wish them the best, but we've all done this dog and pony show over and over and over again. They're gonna get the stone wall. Um, I don't know. Do you guys even see, do you even think that they're going to get anywhere having David Grush on a task force to try and get this information out to the public?
Well,
No.
ultimately, no. I mean, he's the point of contact, I guess that we're all given, but it's just it's just the same old nonsense. Like you say. I mean, the disclosures happened already. Everybody knows there's UFOs out there. That they get it. It's just can you get a reasonable response from your government about what they have, what they know?
Exactly.
You can't, but the problem with that, see, with disclosure is look, JFK files, all the rest of this stuff.
Not
You can
including,
see with 9/11, it'd be on and on. Oh, it's
not in,
just like, whoa, wait, certain things you just don't need to know, just we're gonna play this
well,
stupid game.
well, I was telling my buddy this, it's not too well known, but in, UFO lore, there's a supposed colony of tall whites living at Nellis Air Force Base off of Range 4.
I was reading something. There was a race living underwater. I think what it boils down to is if they tell people too much at one time, they're not going to be able to handle it. Look how they're handling things now with as far as a president or what is going on overseas with a war. They're they're going to be upset. They're going to be confused. They're going to be angry. I mean, I think if there were aliens that were actually just showed themselves, people would just generally attack them and go on a rampage. I mean,
Well, actually,
they
you're not
can't
far
even
off.
handle each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, you're not far off. In the last show, I kind of divulged that, what the whistleblower had said is that there are four known factories. These things are what they call, not motherships, but basically they manufacture. It's like a printing press. It makes the ship. And it also makes the uh, artificially creates the beings that live in there all together. And there's four of them that are known that they're at the bottom of the ocean, and the most of the materials that we're seeing are being used or mined from this planet, and the only thing that is exotic is the propulsion drive, which is brought off world. And they've been saying that these things have been known uh, for quite some time, but from the Navy, and they're hard to detect. because they don't give off much radiation or whatever. But what they do, how they have been able to find these things is through irregularities in what they would call the gravity sensor at the bottom of the ocean. And typically, why we see these things coming in and out of the water is because that's where they're manufactured. If you're thinking about the water is actually meaningless to the ship because once these things have the propulsion drive uh, all the way fired up, the medium is actually meaningless because it's in its own space. So it's abstract of all outside pressures, and technically it's here, but it's not here at the same time. Which why we see when it goes through water, there's no resistance and there's no sonic booms when these things move. So being at the bottom of the ocean is probably the ideal place where they won't get effed with. Yeah.
Somebody in my little Telegram group here was like, "What about Yetis?"
I don't know. I think they're
Yeah,
real.
Well, that's the what the Asian Himalayan version of the Sasquatch. Is
yeah,
it?
and it might be an alien version of human
Yeah.
alien kind of thing.
Well, I've heard
Well,
everything from Nephilim um, to interdimensional beings. I know they're real. Just
and
don't.
that they might get dropped off by UFOs. You have UFO sightings, and then Sasquatches kind of tied together sometimes.
That's true.
Um, I don't know. There was. I don't know how that goes with Yetis. But
Well, there's also a theory that these things, believe it or not, that the what we found with the autistic children is that people who don't develop speech tend to develop in there. But there's this thing called the telekinesis tapes where they have our autistic children are actually highly psychic and able to interpret telepathic communication over and over and over again. So they're assuming that the proto man, before we developed communication, actually communicated through telekinesis. Not necessarily words, but the hippocampus could possibly interpret emotions into, actions or words. And it's not a far stretch to say that when we developed communication, we lost some of that. But what if there was a subset of our species that was out there that didn't lose any of this, and in fact used it in some other fashion to the point where they can, I don't know. Let's just say they could teleport with their minds or whatever the hell they're doing. But I'm not saying that much. But I'm just saying that there's more evidence than not with animals that they're able to tap into something that most people who don't have a psychic training or anything like that, they're able to tap into something very naturally. And I think that's something that I think Bigfoot and all of those other beings are able to have it naturally, and maybe why we don't see them or whatever. But I do think there is a correlation there with the UFO stuff. I just I don't know. Like the only thing that weirds me out with Bigfoot is there's so much evidence, and people say that there's none. There actually is a ton of it. It still baffles me. You know?
it doesn't seem to fit the profile. Well, if you had a community of, like, say, lower human, hairy human beings,
Yeah,
you would find them. I mean, there's like no place you can hide anymore, pretty much on this planet. I mean, it'd be such a small group that they wouldn't survive very long. But if they're being brought in as part of some extra
experiment.
scheme, then and why you only see them here and there or certain places, well, then that might make more sense. Being tied to the sightings.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing stuff out there. I mean, I know a guy from Washington State who swears to God that they were chased by something like that. There was like screaming and going on in the forest. There was just like, and they got the hell out of there.
There's another one that baffles me too. Is I hear a lot of them all the time. Dogman. You ever heard that one?
Dogman.
Skinwalker?
No, 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 no. Like yeah, like some sort of yeah, it's just like something like a skinwalker. Yeah, sort of, but like not like a werewolf, but something that's able to mimic looking like a person and then change back into a dog. Yeah. Um, that's another one that comes up a lot. You
There's
know,
a Native American folklore about blue-eyed mountain people as well. So that's something I've been checking into.
a lot of people think that the Dogman stuff is all bullshit, but once you start getting into people and there's enough evidence there going back hundreds of years. I'm not saying lycanthropy like werewolves, but there seems to be uh, either it's real or it's some sort of paranormal entity that can mimic looking like a person and a wolf. Um, hell, I follow a paranormal channel that talks about it all the time, and there's a lot of evidence, quite a bit. Um, seeing wolves in places that shouldn't be in that part of that region, and and being chased by a wolf walking on 2 feet. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, it would be different
yeah.
Being
around
chased
here.
by
I
a
mean,
swamp donkey.
you hear the only thing you hear around here is like that chupacabra story. He's like he's not a wolf or a coyote, or he's some kind of something weird. People see him every now and then, but South Texas,
Did you guys hear about that shit underneath the pyramid?
something new. But yeah, I haven't read it.
So, so they did some sort of like lidar, but they did it with I think like ground penetrating radar, some sort of microwave beam that's able to penetrate through the lower region of a few miles into the earth, and they've been using this technology for mining, I believe, and they were using satellites passing over the um, Giza on the Big Pyramid. Bro, they found 8 columns that have spiral structures going about 2 kilometers under the main pyramid, connected to like two different base blocks going down. And these things are massive. And the Egyptian antiquities are saying that it's not that Mazi whatever or Wawa whatever, the main guy from the Egypt antiquities is saying that it's not real when you can clearly see it on radar.
You talking about underwater pyramids?
No, this is underneath the main pyramid. There's 8 columns that go down 2 kilometers connecting to two different base blocks.
I don't know that they get other than if you're reading like earthquake, seismic information.
This is new.
I
This
don't
is
think
new
there's any
technology.
radar that could go that deep though.
This is new
I mean,
technology.
that's
This
way
is
beyond.
yeah. They
Okay,
this is
well,
this is this is some new stuff.
So
Well,
basically, the pyramids would be like an obelisk just under the sand. Sure. Because I've
it's
seen
it,
something about
it
that, like the pyramids of
what they
Giza.
were also able to see these microstructures that were inside of the pyramid that kind of look like extensions to these columns, um, kind of what you would look for in a power plant. And just me, just me putting it out there, it's looking more like humans didn't build this shit, and it probably was like some sort of power plant. I don't know.
well, that made sense with the those rooms that were set up as kind of like microwave resonance chambers.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a theory that they could pour certain materials in there, create the hydrogen and like some kind of, I guess, flame front, or get the whole thing kind of oscillating and creating that And then if you figure out like where that port is, like where it would be beaming that signal to,
Hmm.
I don't remember the star name or anything, but I mean, you could work that out. It's almost like it's made to be a microwave, a high power microwave generator, sending out a
Exactly.
signal.
And
Yeah.
it's high enough in the atmosphere where it can actually gather plasma from the upper atmosphere. And if those columns are going down as far as that we think they are, and you know anything about micro movements and how the Earth harnesses electricity, if those things are going 2 kilometers down with spiral structures going around these columns, it's looking more like a power plant.
Yeah, I guess the only problem with that would be the age of the thing. I mean, as the years go by, the alignments are getting more distorted and wouldn't work. So if it was meant to be a trigger or a signaler, it was at the time of being built,
Yeah, these
or
things.
to be recharged and used at some time. But I mean, nobody seems to know what the fuck's going on, so that's not going to happen.
Well, there is some like disconnect, I think, between the first and the third dynasty where they don't know what the fuck happened. But there's a lot of theory that has said that they believe that the Egyptians found them and said that they made them, but they didn't. They just found them and then carved whatever the fuck they wanted into there. But they I believe that story more than they made that. They didn't make that. They didn't
The
make.
people that were there, no, they didn't make them, and they're a little different maybe than like the South Americans. They seem a little more. They're like, yeah, all this stuff's here, but we didn't build it.
They said the same
That
thing.
was
Yeah,
the Andaluvians or whoever you wanted.
the
It was
Mayans.
the
Yeah,
people from but somebody before. It wasn't us. It wasn't the Mayans. Um,
Like Anakai, who were supposed to be giants in Egypt. Did I say that right? Anakai.
oh, you mean Anunnaki?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be.
That
Maybe
was the Sumerian stories or the
Sumer. Yeah, Sumerian. Yeah, yeah. So we're
but they all
talking.
talk. It's the Enoch. It's all visitors that come here. That's what I get out of stories like that. No matter where they occur, it's just like somebody came here, did something, built these things, you know, because it wasn't these guys that we found in the desert, even now, much less 2,000, 3,000 years ago. They didn't build that shit.
No, they
There's
didn't.
no way.
Nope. Yeah, it's not. It wasn't, and it wasn't for. It wasn't the king. Whatever. It wasn't his tomb. I don't believe that.
No.
I think it was a cover up.
Well, I mean, if there really was gold on the top, then it is using metals. If it was inlaid in gold on the top, at least probably, what it was. I think it was. It was a power plant.
Yeah, because gold, silver, and copper are
Good.
what?
Yeah, yeah. They're good for transmitting electricity. Yeah.
Well,
Just saying.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
would
there's
make
this.
sense.
Yeah, there's a meme going around with Ari Hawass, the Egyptian antiquities guy, because he said it's all fake and none of that shit is real that's out there, and they didn't have approval to scan the pyramid. Well, you don't. It's in space, so they can do whatever they want. And so they're basically saying that like so the meme is going around that he doesn't believe in radar. Anyway,
mm, all
eh,
those. I mean, he's suspicious. I mean, he's so controlling that anything you get out, you have to wonder. I mean, and
because he
so
wants because he
resistant
wants he
to
wants the Egyptians to he wants fake history to say the Egyptians built that and they didn't. They didn't build it. Mm-mm.
well, then they need to build another one. They need to prove it.
They did. They tried. There's been the ones that they built.
Yeah, oh,
The ones that they
they ain't
built
gonna get
were
very
fell
far.
apart. Yeah, those are the third dynasty. I got another 10 minutes before this kid flips out.
Um, Well,
Um,
you know, the other thing about the pyramids is they're built on like the only, I'm not saying it's the only one, but there's a giant like formation underneath that's, big enough to like support that kind of weight. Otherwise, I mean, if it was sand, they would just sink.
exactly, which we think partially these
And
rods and these other two huge blocks that are down there might also function not only as ways to get the electricity up there or whatever the hell they're doing, but also we use big we use the same technique right now to make skyscrapers. We have these big
yeah.
machines that jam rods into the ground, not 2 kilometers, but a good
Oh, the pile driver, yeah,
yeah,
that's
pile
that's
drivers.
true.
You do the same thing. Yeah, we do the exact same thing. It's basically just a ramrod and a diesel engine, ramming a piece of metal, two pieces of metal down.
Yeah, I don't think you do it that way, man. It'd be just a lot easier to mine it and build it out. But hey, I'm not a space alien with space tech, so what do I know?
It's starting to wonder if Stargate was a real thing. Is it that's how it happened? Shit.
Yeah, they just can come through some Stargate whenever they want. I mean, that's honestly more like it. And you were mentioning, that like before these UFOs, they don't seem to make any sonic booms or any kind. The transitions between the medium don't bother them, and which is the same thing. You have that argument like with the warp drive, space drive is that you're in this bubble and moving at these speeds, and nothing really bothers you, or you're in this in your own little world within that
Basically,
bubble, right?
yeah.
So it's the same kind of thinking. It's like, well, you just transfer that warp drive into just go through the planet, I suppose, or warp everything around you, and
Well,
it just all works.
there's a thing that's been going around, and I wanted to talk to you about it because you might know more. And I've always had I've always believed in the Bob Lazar camp where there's, I guess, two kinds of gravity, but believe it or not, the thing that I've been hearing a lot is scalar waves and and scalar waves, 0 point energy, and God, I don't know enough to know what I'm talking about, but there was a bunch of people over this last week that I've been hearing where the key to anti-gravity seems to be these scalar waves and something to do with scalar waves not behaving like normal stuff on the EM spectrum because they're basically passing it through some sort of medium that is like, let's say you're using a spinning superconductor and passing these waves through essentially on some micro level bending space and getting these anti-gravitic micro anti-gravitic effects, and that seems to be where the discussion was going. And I guess they were going to Salvador Paz and Pais and some of the stuff that Tesla was talking about where transmitting electricity through the vacuum wirelessly without a medium um, using these scalar waves. And I don't know enough to know what I'm talking about, but that seems to be the topic and discussion that I've been hearing this week. And do you know anything about scalar waves, Ellen?
No, I've never heard of it put that way. I mean, EM waves. I mean, there's wave theory, electromagnetic theory, and I mean it's all kind of the same. I don't know of any spectrum or part of the spectrum that's different. That reacts different in some way.
It's kind of like what the way I was hearing it is that waves behave that way if you're basing everything on the space time is flat. But if you could curve it a little bit, the behavior of the waves are not going to adhere with the way that we think, that kind of how we are with chemistry now, and that we're understanding that if we can compress stuff when we're doing compounds, we end up with materials that have more exotic effects. um, because we don't really understand how atoms really behave under high pressures. It's unknown chemistry, and that's kind of where we're getting now with scalar waves. So instead of having electricity that gets hot, it becomes cold, defying the law of thermodynamics, shit like that.
In my field. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Right.
So
Oh,
here's something. Cold electricity. It's real. It uses a dual loading coil system to turn it back upon itself where it separates the magnetism and takes away the heat. That's how that works. Um, Ken Wheeler can help with those kinds of things. Have you heard of him on YouTube? Uh, Theoria Apostis or something like that. I can't remember how do you pronounce his
no,
YouTube channel.
I was also listening to like a bunch of people this week talk about like scalar waves and
Hmm. Hmm.
how they seem this seems to be the key to anti-gravitic effects or reducing gravity.
Well, anti gravity is also something that Ken Wheeler is very big on. I really recommend. I'll go grab a link in a sec here. My hands are a little busy. Sorry. um, and he really knows his stuff. To be honest with you,
Yes, see,
Paul
yeah, what
Imres,
they were. Go ahead.
Pavel Imres is another one. He's a he he's all about the cold electricity. I have some links that I could send you guys if you want. Of
Oh yeah, I'm interested. I've always thought that zero point and all this shit is real. I just
course, it's
um
real.
I
Magnets.
believe, yeah, a lot of it, like when I said that there is physics and then there's classified physics. And a lot of
Yes,
people don't think it's real because there's not much literature on there. But if you dig around into um, unpublished papers, there's a lot of information out there.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, a lot of the insects that we don't understand how they fly, they're using anti-gravity technology, sort of. It's material
Oh,
technology.
I've heard about that with the beetle.
Yeah,
With
with beetles and the bee, the big bumblebee, and a couple other things. They're actually utilizing anti-grav tech. It's built into their chitin or something. Um,
I heard about that where the Russian guy was able to put a
yep,
charge
yep.
through it, and then they were
You
the
have it run different
yeah, it
directions.
was
Then
yeah, he was
yep,
able to make a device where he was able to get onto it and fly around a little bit.
yep, yep.
Yeah,
I can't
I've heard
remember
of it. Yeah, it was a Russian guy. Yeah.
his name right now, but I watched that video too. Um, I have quite a bit of information, to be honest with you guys. If you want some of that, I can send it to you in Telegram or something, Tyler.
Well, you know what what happened is when they were looking at the cell structures of
Yep.
the wing, not the wings, but just
Mm,
the beetle, there was enough there to say that they're it's creating some sort of weird ionization.
It's
Um,
geometry. It's basic. It's
yeah.
based in geometry affects the ether. The ether being the dielectric field that is the substrate of everything. Okay, this is field theory, not the standard model. The standard model is Einsteinian physics, Newtonian physics. This is highly flawed, especially
Well,
when you get into
actually, Einstein even had his doubts about his theory of relativity.
yeah,
He,
it's extremely flawed. But if these modern scientists today, like the ones you see on TV and stuff, if they want to get funded, well, they have to stick with the standard model because that's what everything is invested in the elite echelons of the world, financial circles and such, geopolitics and that kind of shit. Um, which that's why we don't have it. That's where because it would reduce all of our burdens, and our burdens are the source of their luxuries. So. But yeah, I have quite a bit of information on this stuff.
well, it
Oh,
actually seems like shit like that. Psionics and consciousness seems to be the revolution of the where technology will be in the future. So,
yes.
whatever they're putting out in physics right now is absolute poppycock because it's
Yeah,
they're finding out now through the Wizard program with Google that multiverse has to be real because that's how the technology is working. is using the quantifiable computational power of other quantum computers that are out there to get its information and
Well,
theories.
by,
So,
util- by utilizing different quantum leveling, that doesn't really indicate multiverse, but it does indicate um, what people like to call dimensions, but it's really not a dimension because it's not a measurable attribute. It's just a fantastical thing that they make up
well,
that
you,
they
well,
didn't
you,
understand. So they gave it the name dimension. Um, and that's how
well,
the
we're saying
quantum.
that if something would take 1 trillion years, like let's say 10,000 years to break a code, because it's doing all of the codes at the same time, we're talking a couple of
Mhm.
seconds.
Yeah, yeah, it's utilizing it's what's the word I need here? It's like partitioning itself.
Yeah.
It's partitioning itself between all of the potential results of whatever equation they're working. It's working anyway. Alamo, you were asking about a download bot or a way to download YouTube videos. If you have Telegram, there's a couple of bots in Telegram that will download you YouTube. Okay, here's a couple of things to know
Yep.
about that. If it has some kind of copyright infringement thing going on, like I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of popular videos going around right now that have that song, the like a prayer, but the choir version of it from Deadpool, the movie Deadpool and Wolverine,
Okay.
right? Any of the videos that have that in it, it won't download because of copyright infringement.
Uh,
But that there's still millions and millions of videos that it will download. Um, Usually it downloads the shorts, again, except for the ones that have that fucking song in it. Bastards. Anyway, but there's a couple of them there. So if you have Telegram, go in and just do the search for instant media bot or download bot, and it will show
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
You'll be able to download anything from that, almost anything from that. So there's that. That's really the reason I came in tonight, guy. And I did
oh,
notice you were talking scalar and all that. I'm like, ooh, I know about that.
yeah. What the hell are
So
scalar waves?
scalar waves are, well, it's really hard to explain. It's kind of a combination of magnetics and dielectrics. It is, I can describe it. I can't tell you what it is, but I can describe it.
Is
It's
it what I was
imagine a
told? Okay, go ahead.
imagine a unlimited in distance, unlimited in time, and unhackable, unjammable, uninterruptible, uninterceptable. Okay. Again, there are people who know more about the scalar wave thing than I do. I don't know their names, but I'm sure you could find them.
Because
And I would probably
I was told it was I was
it is
listening. Go ahead.
it's a dielectric magnetic. According to Ken Wheeler and this field theory that he's worked out, uh, the four fundamental forces of the universe, as we know them by the standard model, are the strong and weak nuclear forces, electromagnetism, and gravity. Right. Well,
Yeah.
with Wheeler's theory, it's different. It's dielectricity, electricity, magnetism, and gravity. And those four make everything else. Dielectricity, which is basically the substrate, the ether itself.
Okay.
Yeah, not really a form, and which is really hard to explain.
Which would make sense
Things
because
like
when we get to
are
absolute
not
zero, we've actually or we actually suspect that you can actually get to absolute zero because of the quantum oscillations, which happen, which means that there is an ether, which would
right.
make sense.
That would
Because there,
indicate that there is a substrate, right? That is
yeah,
constant, and you cannot stop it. So absolute zero is only for things that we can actually control in the 3D world, um, to certain levels. And once you get down to the smallest, absolute smallest, which is even Planck is looking at that, going, "Damn, that's small." You know,
yeah.
uh,
Oh crap.
yeah, it can't be stopped because it's just that's how everything is. That's just
Okay.
simply it. And that's just simply it.
Oh,
There's
sorry
there's
guys. I actually have to cut it short. My kid's having a
I
meltdown.
mean, anyway. So
All right.
All
keep
right.
those updates.
Yeah, next time we'll be able to stream will be the 17th, guys.
Okay. Have a good night.
Okay.
And with that, we'll roll out.
Okay,
Sorry about
awesome.
that.
It's good to chat with you
Uh,
guys. It's been a while, man.
Same.